up, everybody? It is Old Man Logan, and today I have a video review for you guys. And I'm going to be talking about a game that I haven't seen a lot of conversation about, and I feel like it deserves a little bit more love. So I'm going to give it love in my little tiny corner of the internet, right? So recently, back in November, I became a late adopter, I would say, to the PlayStation VR2, right? And with me becoming a late adopter, I came into a slew of titles. Man, I've been playing the PlayStation VR2 constantly since I think like December through now, right? Playing tons and tons of different games. But I want to talk about Arizona Sunshine 2 because that is the most recent PlayStation VR2 game that kind of came out on the PlayStation Store. It's also available on Oculus Quest, PC, VR as well. And like I said, I haven't seen a lot of love being pushed around for it, and so I want to spread love for this game. Back when I played the original Arizona Sunshine 2 on the original PlayStation VR back in 2018, I want to say, is when I actually got around to playing it. I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic VR game. I was engrossed into it. I played it from beginning to end, like within like a day or two, because I was that engrossed in it. Loved every aspect about it. And Arizona Sunshine 2 just keeps that trend going, right? To me, it's one of the best VR experiences that I've had, right? I can't talk to a lot of the VR stuff, right? Because my VR experience is PlayStation VR, PlayStation VR 2, and some Meta Quest as well. But Arizona Sunshine 2 is probably my peak VR experience that I've had. I loved every single thing about it. The sequel just amps up everything that made the original good, and it made the original a great experience. It just did everything that the first one did, and then better, right? The PlayStation VR2 controllers made the gameplay and everything so smooth, with the dual analog sticks, the haptic feedbacks on your headset, on the controllers. Everything just felt good. Gameplay in Arizona Sunshine 2 is kind of spread between two different kind of categories, where you got a little bit of a more slower paced, exploration, gathering resources to make, like grenades, Molotov cocktails, proximity mines, and so on and so forth, like that, right? You got, resources that you're finding, as well as you got to obviously scrounge, ammo, and stuff like that as well, that you can, obviously use to reload your weapons. You have different types of ammos. You have like your shotguns, your handguns, or your submachine gun ammo. You have like your rifle ammo, and then you have basically like a flamethrower, right? So you have all that stuff, and then so basically you have your exploration part, right? And then you got your more like action focused, hey, there's a horde of zombies coming my way and I got a dispatch of them, right? They usually give you like extra resources in these cases, and better weapons and stuff when you get into those areas. Like I found like a Tommy gun with like a 50-round drum mag, right? That you can sit there and mow down all these enemies that are coming at you. Or there's even a minigun. So they do have a good balance between, slower paced areas, but in those slower paced areas, you're still fighting zombies, right? You do have melee. Melee is not the biggest focus in Arizona Sunshine 2. I did kind of wish that it had a little bit of a better melee aspect to it, because your weapons do break after X amount of usage. And I did like melee, right? I did like going around and smacking zombies in the head with a hatchet, doing a machete, so on and so forth. But you didn't have a way to really hold on to your melee weapons very well, unless they took up your extra 2 inventory slots that you would have in your hands. Because you do have you can hold 2 main weapons, or I should say 2 sidearms, right? You could have 2 sidearms on each side of you, and then you'd have like your main like assault weapon, assault rifle, shotgun, machine gun, like on your back. And then in your hands, you would literally put like could put like a grenade. You could put food that you would come and find around and eat the food, right? You could pull the food out if you get low on health and eat the food and consume and heal yourself. Or you could actually store like your melee weapons in your hands as well, right? But you only had those 2 slots that you could store the melee weapons. You couldn't put them on like your side. You couldn't put them like anywhere else on your body. So you could you had to either do like, do I want a melee weapon, or do I want to heal, or do I want to be able to have a grenade for when things get really hectic and blow a bunch of zombies up, right? So your inventory space was a little limited. I wish that they would have had something that you could have at least carried at least a melee weapon on you at all times that didn't take up one of the 2 slots You know, if you could just put it on your side and attach it there, I thought that would have been, you know, a little bit of a better improvement. But alas, I still had tons of fun with the game. Like, me not being able to carry melee weapons around me all the time didn't hinder my, uh, you know, experience with the game. It didn't hinder how fun I had with the game. It's just basically what I was limited to with the inventory. A new addition to the game, Arizona Sunshine 2, is one. They got co-op. You know, you can play the game from beginning to end in co-op, but you also have your furry companion. His name's Buddy. You get this little beautiful German Shepherd dog, and he basically is kind of an integral part of your gameplay aspect because there is puzzles, or I shouldn't say puzzles, but you got to figure out how to get from point A to point B, right? And you'll be looking around, and there's a key that's in here that I need Buddy to get to, but then I'll have to like clear that way for Buddy to get to it, right? Whether I got to move stuff around, tell Buddy, hey, go grab the key. Buddy brings me the key, and I take the key out of his beautiful little mouth and go over to the door, open it up, and boom, I can continue on to the game. Buddy also does attack enemies too. So if you see like some of the enemies require actually Buddy, you gotta like tag team them, right? You gotta say, hey, Buddy, go get this guy, and then, you know, be like a full suit armored zombie, and Buddy's got to knock the guy on the ground to, you know, pull up the helmet so you can shoot the zombie in the head, right? So like I did like that you could just send Buddy to go, hey, go attack this zombie, hey Buddy, we need to go do this, or hey Buddy, like you could also tell Buddy, hey, go here, come back to me, stuff like that. And so I really enjoyed like having, it was just nice. I played the game completely in single player all the way through. I'll probably do I might try to do a co-op playthrough on the apocalyptic difficulty because I want to see how hard that is. But I feel like that would be better to do with a friend versus by yourself. But I really enjoyed that they brought Buddy in here, and obviously you can pet him and stuff. And it was just great to have it. It was a great addition to the game because you didn't feel like you were kind of like alone like you did in Arizona Sunshine, the first one. Like you didn't have a companion, you didn't have anybody else there. It was just you and your Freddy's, right? The main character calls all the zombies Freddy. That's how he deals with his isolation, is saying, you know, naming all the zombies Freddy's is like, hey, this is my friend Freddy, right? Freddy's. Every single zombie's name's Freddy, right? Um, like I said, there's so much to love in Arizona Sunshine 2. Everything felt satisfying from the gameplay perspective. You know, pulling off multiple headshots in a row felt really good, felt really rewarding. I also really liked how intricate the reload animations were and stuff that you had to do. And I like the attention to detail that it had. So like if you say, for example, there's a Desert Eagle, right, that you could get in the game, and it has, I think, 7 or 8 shots. I can't remember. But basically, if you shot, so say if it has 8 shots, I believe it only has 7. But if you had 8 shots and you shot 7, right, and you popped out the magazine and put another one in there, you still had the one in the chamber, right, that you didn't have to pull back and cock the next bullet into the chamber, right? I like that little detail there, where if you did, you know, exhaust all of your ammo, right, to where you were locked in and you had to put a fresh new magazine in any of your weapons, you had to go and cock it, which and chamber the next round in, right? Whether it be, you know, how the AK, there was machine guns and stuff like that. You know, anything like that, it felt really nice. The reload animations, you know, you had to grab them, put them in, cock the gun. Also the revolver, I loved how you had to reload the revolver. It felt really nice and fluid. You know, you had to flick out the revolver, dump out the rounds, put new rounds in, and flick it back in place. That was so satisfying to like do that and then pop off a headshot right after. It's just grade A fun. I can't express just how much fun I had playing this game. I literally wanted to nonstop play it. And what felt like a very little amount of time in a VR world actually took hours in the real world. Like, I would be playing it, you know, I was playing it a little bit over break, kind of at the tail end of it for me. And there'd be times where I'd play it and it would be daylight outside, and then I would take my headset off and it was dark in the house. And I'm like, crap, where did all my time go, right? And then I would say about the only gripe that I had with it is that sometimes the tracking didn't work very well. Yes, you can set the height of where your guns are, where your ammo packs are, because your ammo packs basically across your chest. There are sidearms and stuff are on your sides, and obviously if you just grab in the back, that's where your weapon would be. But sometimes I would feel like I would go to the back and try to grab my weapon, but in this game, for some reason I don't know why they added it, but it's kind of a fun thing. You could find hats, right? There's a trophy tied to finding all the hats and wearing them. If you put a hat on, right, you can put any hat on. Sometimes I would go to like grab my big weapon, right? I'd go to grab it and I'd end up like expecting, hey, I have my gun, and instead I have the hat in my hand that was on top of my head. So like that was a little bit frustrating, especially when you're in like hectic fights. I did love that you could actually put hats on Buddy. I thought that was such a cool thing. I sat there and I would just put different hats on Buddy throughout the entire game. My favorite was the hard hat. I loved the hard hat on him. It was just funny seeing a German Shepherd with a hard hat on. And so like at the end of everything that I say is like, at the end of the day, what I recommend, you guys, the viewers, the readers, if you're reading the written review, to purchase a VR headset to play Arizona Sunshine 2, I would say not necessarily, right? Unless you're wanting to get into VR games and stuff like that, because there's tons of stuff on the PlayStation VR2 platform. There's tons of stuff on MetaQuest. There's tons of stuff, obviously, on PC that you could get your hands into and dig into and play and love. But what I say, like, is Arizona Sunshine 2 like something that you would go out there purposely buy a VR headset for? No. But if you already have a VR headset, or if you're already planning on getting into the VR world, Arizona Sunshine 2 is definitely a must-play title. Like I said, outside of having some tracking issues, I didn't really have any other complaints, right? So, like, I just loved it. Loved everything about Arizona Sunshine 2. The only thing that I would say that I would maybe dock it a few points realistically is like the story isn't in depth, right? It is kind of like your run-of-the-mill, oh hey, we have to find, which you get this, there's no spoilers, you have to go find patient zero. Hopefully your patient zero has a cure to the zombie apocalypse disease, so you're trying to find patient zero to take him back to this camp, and hopefully be like the hero of the world. That's the premise of the story, but there's not a lot of like in-depth like characters. It's really just you, Buddy, and maybe a couple voiceovers on the intercom here or there. So like if you're looking for something that's like super in-depth, super deep gameplay and story elements and stuff like that, I would say Arizona Sunshine 2 doesn't have that. But what it does have is it has the gameplay, it has the fun factor of a game, right? We are playing games to make it definitely worth playing through. I would definitely have to give it, I believe if I gave it a score, right? We like to do scores here. I would have to throw, I want to say it would probably be an 8. I'm trying to pull up my score here. Where is it? 8.8. Yes, that's what I gave it. An 8.8. My pros: immersive gameplay, quirky one-liners, Buddy, your furry companion. You can't go wrong with a dog in your game. And then the game also did have a good mix between exploration and action sequences. Those are all my pros to it, right? I think the having the mix of gameplay elements is good. It has a nice pace because it will, it has a slower pace and it kind of ups it a little bit and then kind of goes back down. Kind of always keeping you on your toes. But my cons, I would say, obviously I talked about the lack in story and tracking issues sometimes that I had, right? Especially in like hectic gunfights. If I went to pull out that gun and I pulled a hat off, it was very frustrating that I wasn't having my gun instead of a hat in my hand, right? But I would give it an 8.8, an absolute recommended to you guys if you have a PlayStation VR2 headset, Quest headset, any VR headset. I know it's on Steam. I would recommend it if you guys already do. If you're going to get into VR, definitely check out Arizona Sunshine 2. Do not sleep on this game. I also played there is a horde mode as well. You can play a horde mode which has different waves of zombies coming at you that you're trying to hold down a fort. And I very much dug the horde mode. I thought it was a blast too. But obviously the main part that I'm talking about is the campaign, and the campaign itself was just fantastic. Loved it. Loved every aspect of it. Play it. Do yourself a favor. Play Arizona Sunshine 2. And I will check you guys out on the next video. Peace.